Welcome back into another episode, Spaceman 2.0 Phoenix Truth Rising Show, here to help you grow in the knowledge and wisdom of truth, and the truth will set you free. With the best history lesson and spiritual insights on the planet, exposure of the Illuminati's plan of world conquest and control is the death knell to the New World Order. So let's get back into Nebuchadnezzar's dream and what was going on in Medo-Persia at that time. And we'll also be getting into the Greeks and their civilization. So with that being said, what's in the news today? So in the last episode, we went over, if you look up at the top, second paragraph, the Khazarians by any lineage are the same lineage of the adversary, no matter what name they tell them. So Daniel had interpreted the dream around 580 BC of Nebuchadnezzar. And down at the bottom, we were getting into, so starting this tremendous rise with the conquest of Babylon, about 538 BC, this empire ruled all the important parts of the known civilized world at that time. And that was, if you go up to the paragraph above, the Medo-Persian power became very great. It extended from northwest India and Afghanistan across the whole Fertile Crescent and the nations that extend in great arc north of the Arabian Desert. In other words, from the head of the Persian Gulf on up through Iraq and Iran, as we call them today. But it also included the Babylonian and Syrian empires over into Syria and down the coast through Palestine. It took in a good deal of Asia Minor, which today we call Turkey, and they even conquered and ruled Egypt for a time. So we have that happening, and then we have, until it was conquered by Alexander the Great, between 334 and 331 BC. So once again, the Phoenix Journal is living up to its moniker, the best history lesson and spiritual insights on the planet. So if you'd like one sent out to you today, get one in your hands. You can read it yourself and get the truth, because you can't just read it once. You got to keep reading these truthful journals and get more out of them each and every time. You can scroll down below and see how you can get one sent out to you today. Not only that, but they date very well, because if you just look at this next part we're going to get into and the news of today, yesterday, July 6, 2025, okay, 3-4 days ago. So I'm just going to continue on, and then I'm going to play this little clip here and see what you guys think, because it kind of seems a little bit off to me. So with that being said, let's get back into Divine Plan Volume 2. The Medo-Persian Empire was followed by Alexander the Great. Alexander had been king of Macedonia, which is on the mainland just north of the peninsula of Greece. And in 336 BC, he was merely king of Macedonia. HATONN, Shellas. In past journals, I hope the editors will give you reference. See Counterfeit Blessings, subtitled The Antichrist by Any Name, Kaiser's Introduction, Journal 26, page 2. We have covered this entire history along with the concomitant rise and infiltration of the 13th tribe. See, you learn a new word every day too here. Concomitant rise and infiltration of the 13th tribe. The Khazarians, who later stole the religion of the Judaists and pronounced themselves first the Serpent People and then Jews, and finally Zionists. Remember, the word Jew didn't come out till the 1700s. We'll get into that another day with Nora Boyle's book, The Garden of Aton. They were thieves and liars from the beginning, and truth was not in them. So the Greeks had a very high civilization, and one fatal weakness: they could never get along among themselves. They were always fighting among themselves. The various Greek cities, because each one represented an individual nation, as they were then organized, and in their bitter warfare, whoever was losing was always ready to call in somebody else as an ally to keep from losing the war. And when you called in a powerful nation in those days to help, it simply meant that not only did they conquer your opponent, but they swallowed you up too. And of course, that is exactly what happened. So now I'm going to let this play, and in the background you're going to see the Houthi rebels attack Greek cargo vessel in Red Sea. And this is July 6th, okay, 2025. So this is what they're showing us. I put the volume up because it's silent for just a certain part, and I'm wondering why they left it silent, and then you just hear one part, and then that's it. Then it goes silent again, and it's quite interesting. So I'm going to let you guys get ready.
What type of assistance you need? Rescue. The vessel will be abandoned. I need rescue for my crew. The vessel was hit by Houthis and
Magic seas. Need rescue for my crew. Now you see these guys come on board. It goes silent again. Okay, so you have silence again. Looks like it's filmed by a nice drone. Now you got back to action and sounds. And then it turns into, can we say Bollywood? Or ISIS? Or the new Ahmadi guy? Come on, doesn't this sound scripted? Look at this. Perfect explosions happening in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas. And then I don't see any crew members around. I don't see anyone. Wouldn't they be running out? Wouldn't they be like getting into other boats? They asked for assistance. Wouldn't other military boats be nearby? Now it's just sinking. Like, this is what? Is it staged? You let me know. But again, the Greeks are at the wars again, I guess, like this was saying. So, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. You know, if they actually, anyone died in that. You let me know. Okay, so carrying on with the greatest history lesson. The Greeks had a very high civilization and one fatal weakness. They could never get along among themselves. They were always fighting among themselves, their various Greek cities, because each one represented an individual nation, and they were then organized, and in their bitter warfare, whoever was losing was always ready to call in somebody else as an ally to keep from losing the war. And when you called in a powerful nation in those days to help, it simply meant that not only did they conquer your opponent, but they swallowed you up too. And of course, that is exactly what happened. In some of their bitter internal warfare, some of the Greeks called in the Macedonians to their aid, and Alexander had a very well-trained and brilliantly commanded army. There are two men in all past history who stand out as generals of ability beyond any other. One is Alexander the Great, and the other is Hannibal of Carthage. And it is perhaps a toss-up which was the more brilliant from a military point of view. Under Alexander's leadership, now we learned another new thing about history too. Hannibal of Carthage, not just Hannibal Lecter from that movie with, what's his name in it? Under Alexander's leadership, the Macedonian army was irresistible. Alexander simply conquered and took over the various Greek cities and incorporated them into his beginning empire, and then went on to looking for more worlds to conquer. He conquered Asia Minor, Syria, and Palestine by 332 BC. He conquered the Tigris-Euphrates valleys, which made up the old Assyrian and Babylonian empires, by 331 BC, and he went on to conquer Media-Persia, which was then called Bactria, and today is called Afghanistan. Another thing we didn't know. It lies just outside of India, just north of the famous Khyber Pass. It is the gateway to India. So Bactria, and today is called Afghanistan. Alexander also went on down into northern India, conquering quite a considerable area in northern India, so that all the then known civilized world from Greece to India was incorporated to his one empire. As you remember, before his death, Alexander was mooning around, worrying because there were no more worlds left for him to conquer. HATONN, surely now, readers, you do remember that, don't you? Well, why not? What happened to your history lessons? Exactly. The best history lesson of all time is the Phoenix Journals. He was a brilliant general, and that is all you can say for him. He was a debauched drunkard also, and he finally died of his dissipation in Babylon in 323 BC. So we also know how he died as well. HATONN, since you will, if you will study the other journals in conjunction with this one, in fact, editors, please integrate these beast writings into the waiting material on the divine plan, and let's get on with allowing people to relate to those wondrous Sumerian texts. Remember the Enumalish, which were kept in security until this century, at least from your inquiring minds. Sumar is in the approximate location of Babylon, Baghdad, only further to the south in Iraq. Old Alexander. Alexander had built nothing. He conquered, and as individual, he ruled the conquered nations. But when he died, there was nothing to hold it together. His empire broke up exactly as had been prophesied in Daniel, that his kingdom would be divided to the four winds of heaven.